The items you will need for this is obviously the instruction manual, various Parke system forming dies, a candle forming die with a plug, 27 caliber shells, 2 pieces of sheet metal, 1 aluminum, 1 copper, a hammer, a tin roselle, and some wax to make our candle. And we will also need 3 inches of candle string. Okay, the first step in making a candle is we are going to melt some wax. To do this, we place a generous amount of wax in a coffee pot and turn it on. While we're waiting for our wax to melt, we will be making our candle mold. To do this, we take the small candle wick we cut and we place it inside the bottom stop, like so. We're going to squeeze that tight. And now we're going to thread it through the actual mold. We want to press this in as tight as we can, forming a flush seal. If the mold is not flush, you will get a leak out the bottom. Alright, now with the top of the wick, we will be using a paper clip to hold it in place while we pour and form our candle. So to do this, we just clip it with the paper clip and try and center it, pressing the paper clip tight to the top of the form. When you're done, your candle mold should look like this. Okay, so now we have formed our camel die. Pour cigarettes.
That makes them interesting.
Okay, so now we're waiting for our wax to melt, and we have already formed our candle die. Today, we are going to cut out our blanks for our sheet metal. To do this, we will be using the blanking die and the press, all a part of the Parke system. Now our first step is to place the piece of sheet metal in between the 2 cutting dies and press it up against the stop pins located in the back and on the left side. Alright, now with our hands clear, we are going to engage the hydraulic and start pumping up until we shear the piece. You may have to use a little bit of force, and there we go, we have cut our first blank. To release the hydraulic press, there's a little red lever at the bottom. Turn it to the right. Okay. And we will be using the same die for the copper, using the same process, again pushing it in between the 2 dies and making sure it's touching the stop pins located on the back and the left side. Okay, now we have cut our blank, and we will release pressure on the hydraulic and slowly pull out the sheet metal. Now this may get stuck in here a little, so you may have to take the die off. To do that, release the set screw in the front and slide it backwards. While our wax is still melting, we will be using the hydroformer die to form our aluminum into our desired shape for our candle holder. Now to fix the hydroform die, we simply put it on top of the hydraulic press and tighten the wing nut in the front. We then place our aluminum flush up against the 2 pins in the back, centered in the die, and we cap it with the provided die form. Now, we can simply jack up the hydraulic press until we see the aluminum form. So it is important to keep your hands clear of this while you're jacking up the press. Alright, our aluminum is now formed, and we can tell because we saw the springs compress a little, and I can no longer jack up the hydraulic press. We will now release pressure and slowly drop the form from position. Now with the pressure released, we will remove the top of the die and pull out our aluminum form. This is what it should look like when you're done. Alright, now we will be forming our copper blank into our desired shape. To do this, we will be using an explosive forming method. Now first, we place the copper blank into the die, making sure the edges are flush. Next, we put the shell in the top of the top die with the top side labeled out. Be very careful, this is an explosive. Now, with the firing pin out of the box, we will place the top die in the box and aligning all pieces so that the edges are flush. We will then close the box and lock it. Finally, we can screw in our firing pin to the top. Now we're going to screw this until it gets tight. And then we are going to gently tap the firing pin with a hammer. You may hear a small bang. Alright, now we will remove the firing pin from the box. And open up our edges. You may see a little bit of smoke and gunpowder from the shell. This is normal. We can then remove our top die and our formed metal piece. It will be surprisingly cool from this. Taking out the centers on our two blanks. To do this, we use an 1/8 inch drill bit and a drill press. First, we turn on the drill press after centering our piece with a holding fixture. We then just make a slow punch cut through the middle and turn our machine off and wait until it has completely stopped before we remove the part. Again, we will be drilling out the center of our aluminum piece this time the same way we did our copper. We're going to first start by turning on the drill press, waiting until it gets up to speed fully, and then making a slow plunge cut through the middle of our piece. We're then going to turn it off and wait until the drill has completely stopped before we remove our piece from the fixture. Alright, with our copper piece done, we are now going to spin form our aluminum piece into shape. To do this, we fit the formed piece we already made over the mandrel and close the tailstock. Make sure your fingers are clear while you do this. Now we are going to tighten the tailstock until it's fairly snug. We don't want to put it too loose or this piece will spin out and fly towards us. Next, using our spinning tool, we are going to form this piece of aluminum over the mandrel by pressing it. To do this, turn the machine on, and we tighten the tailstock until the chatter goes away. Now, putting the spinning tool up against the piece and pressing firmly to form it around the mandrel. We want to do this in small, fast steps. Piece is formed, we turn off the machine and remove it from the tool. It may be a little warm, so be careful. That is our finished part. Now, one of the final steps of assembling our candle base is adding the rivet. To do this, we push a rivet through the middle of both parts so they are mated like so. With the parts flush, we squeeze the rivet gun until we feel a pop. Okay, and there's the pop. Now we simply remove the end of the rivet from the tip so other people don't get them jammed in. And our candle base is now formed. Now we will be pouring our candle mold. To do this, we're going to pour it much like we pour a cup of coffee. First, we make sure we have a real tight seal around the bottom edge of our mold, and then slowly pour the wax into the top of the mold like so. Pour until it's about half an inch from the top and stop. Now, it's a waiting game as we wait for the wax to solidify.